Have you ever looked around your life on a random Tuesday afternoon and wondered, how did I actually get here? Not in a literal sense, you drove the car, took the train, or woke up in your bed, but rather look at your career, your daily stress levels, the amount of peace you feel, or the lack of it. Did you consciously choose every single piece of this puzzle, or did it just happen to you? Most of us live our lives like passengers in a vehicle driven by invisible forces. We let external circumstances take the wheel. Our jobs, our family expectations, past heartbreaks, the economy, and the constant pestering noise of social media. We wake up reacting. An email notification pops up and suddenly our entire mood for the morning is dictated by someone else's urgent demand. We scroll through our phones, absorbing anxiety, comparing our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel, and feeling a subtle, creeping sense of helplessness. We tell ourselves, I have no choice. I have to work this job. I have to deal with these people. This is just how life is. But what if that is the biggest, most dangerous lie we have ever bought into? What if the steering wheel has actually been in your hands the entire time, but you've been too terrified to look down and grab it? Welcome to a profound exploration of personal sovereignty. Today, we are diving deep into the transformative wisdom of You Can Choose Your Life, a guide to experiencing more peace, freedom, and happiness right now. This isn't just about positive thinking or slapping a motivational Band-Aid on a deep wound. This is about a radical, unapologetic awakening. It is about realizing that while you cannot control the chaos of the world spinning around you, you hold absolute, unyielding dominion over the internal landscape of your mind. As we journey through these next sections, I want you to clear your mind of the usual distractions. Close the extra tabs, put your phone face down, and ask yourself a simple question. Are you ready to stop surviving your life and finally start choosing it? Because what you are about to discover changes everything. But before we unlock the exact mechanism of how to take back control, we need to confront the hidden trap that keeps millions of people locked in quiet desperation every single day.
To understand how to choose your life, you first have to understand why it feels so hard to do so. Human beings are creatures of efficiency. Our brains consume an immense amount of energy, so they're constantly looking for ways to automate our daily routines. Brushing your teeth, driving the same route to work, reacting defensively when criticized. These are all programs running in the background of your consciousness. Over time, these automated patterns harden into concrete walls. We fall into a routine of passive acceptance. We stay in toxic relationships because the fear of the unknown is louder than the pain of the present. We tolerate soul-crushing jobs because a paycheck feels safer than pursuing a hidden passion. And worst of all, we wrap ourselves in the warm, suffocating blanket of blame. Blame is comfortable. Blame is safe. When you blame your boss, your parents, the economy, or bad luck for your unhappiness, you get a temporary psychological payoff. You don't have to change anything. You become the innocent victim of a cruel universe. You can sit back, cross your arms, and say, "See, it's not my fault." True, often it isn't your fault. The trauma you experienced, the setbacks you faced, the unfairness of your upbringing, many things happen to us that are completely unearned and undeserved. However, there is a brutal, liberating truth that separates those who suffer endlessly from those who find profound peace. While your circumstances may not be your fault, your response to them is entirely your responsibility. When you point a finger at the outside world, you hand over your power. You essentially tell the universe, I am completely helpless until you change. And guess what? The universe doesn't care. The world will keep spinning, people will keep disappointing you, and unexpected challenges will keep crashing against your shores. The moment you surrender the habit of blame, something miraculous happens. The heavy fog clears. You stop waiting for a rescue party that is never coming, and you realize a terrifying yet exhilarating fact. No one is coming to save you, because you are the one you've been waiting for. But breaking out of this mental prison requires a specific catalyst, a sudden jolt of awareness that we will uncover right now.
Imagine waking up one day to find that you have been sleepwalking through a grand museum. For years, you walked past magnificent halls, intricate sculptures, and breathtaking paintings, but your eyes were fixed firmly on the ground, dodging cracks in the floor and worrying about where your next meal was coming from. Suddenly, an alarm rings. You lift your chin, and you open your eyes. That is the awakening moment. It is the exact second when the illusion shatters, and you realize that peace, freedom, and happiness are not lottery tickets handed out by fate. They are states of being cultivated from within. Most people spend their entire lives chasing happiness like a dog chasing a mechanical rabbit at a racetrack. They believe happiness is a destination. They think, once I get that promotion, once I buy that house, once I find the perfect partner, then I will finally be happy. So they hustle, they grind, they sacrifice their health, their sleep, and their peace of mind to reach that finish line. And what happens when they finally cross it? A momentary spike of dopamine, followed quickly by the crushing realization that the emptiness is still there. Why? Because happiness is never a where, it is always a how. It is an internal operating system. When you begin to grasp this, your entire perspective flips upside down. You stop asking, what does the world need to give me so I can feel good? And start asking, what story am I telling myself right now that is stealing my peace? Consider this. Two people can experience the exact same external crisis, say losing a job. Person A spirals into despair, drinks heavily, and views it as proof of their worthlessness. Person B takes a deep breath, analyzes their finances, views it as a forced redirection, and starts a new venture they always dreamed of. The event is identical. The choice of meaning is entirely different. This brings us to the core engine of your existence, your internal narrative. You are not merely a passive observer of your thoughts. You are the author of them. But knowing this intellectually and living it practically are two entirely different battles. How do we bridge that gap? How do we stop the automatic spiral of anxiety and anchor ourselves in unshakable freedom? The answer lies in mastering a subtle art that most people spend a lifetime ignoring. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, once wrote a line that changed human psychology forever. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Read that again. Let it sink into your bones. Most people live in a state of zero latency. Stimulus hits, and instant response follows. Someone cuts you off in traffic, instant rage. A colleague sends a passive-aggressive email, instant anxiety and a defensive reply. A bill arrives in the mail, instant panic. We are like pinballs bouncing off bumpers, pinging back and forth across the table of life, completely controlled by whatever hits us next. True freedom does not mean living a life free of chaos, insults, or problems. True freedom is the mastery of that microscopic space between what happens to you and how you react to it. When you practice the art of the pause, you reclaim your sovereignty. When someone triggers you, instead of immediately exploding or collapsing, you pause. You take one deep, deliberate breath. In that single second of silence, you step out of the automated survival brain and into your higher consciousness. In that pause, you ask yourself, does reacting with anger serve my peace right now? Does worrying about this outcome change the future? More often than not, the answer is a resounding no. By pausing, you deny the external world the power to dictate your internal state. You realize that peace is not the absence of storm. It is the ability to remain calm while the storm rages around you. However, mastering the pause is easier said than done. The moment you try to slow down your reactions, your mind will scream at you. Old habits will pull at your sleeves, whispering that you need to fight back, worry more, or fix everything right this second. This brings us to the critical turning point of our journey, the hidden mental anchors that we must cut away once and for all if we ever want to experience true, lasting happiness.
Imagine trying to sail a magnificent ship across the open ocean to a destination of peace and freedom. You raise the sails, catch a favorable wind, and prepare to glide forward, but the boat doesn't move. You look over the side and notice something shocking. You never pulled up the heavy iron anchors. What are the anchors weighing down your life? The need for control. We exhaust ourselves trying to micromanage other people's opinions, future uncertainties, and past mistakes. You cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. The moment you release the illusion that you can control everything, a profound wave of relief washes over you. The trap of approval. Living your life to appease everyone else is a slow form of spiritual suicide. When your happiness depends on people-pleasing, you're essentially handing them the remote control to your emotions. Choosing your own life means accepting that not everyone will understand your journey, and that is completely okay. Resentment and unforgiveness. Holding on to past grudges is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Unforgiveness keeps you energetically tethered to the person who hurt you. When you choose to forgive, not always for their sake, but entirely for yours, you cut the rope holding you to the past. When you systematically cut these anchors, your life begins to lift. You feel lighter, clearer, and more grounded. But transformation is not just about letting go of the old, it is about actively building the new. It is about redesigning your daily environment, your habits, and your mindset to favor peace over panic, freedom over fear, and joy over judgment. And that requires a daily ritual, a commitment that brings us to the threshold of deep, sustainable personal power. Peace and happiness are not rare, magical lightning strikes that happen to lucky people. They are habits. They are built through small, consistent, intentional daily choices that compound over time, much like compound interest in a financial account. If you want to experience more peace right now, you cannot wait for your life to become completely stress-free. If you wait for all your problems to disappear before you are happy, you will be waiting until the day you die, because life is a continuous stream of challenges. Instead, you must build a sanctuary of peace inside the chaos. What does this look like in practice? It looks like setting fierce, uncompromising boundaries with your time and energy, protecting your mental space from toxic environments and energy vampires. It looks like replacing mindless consumption, scrolling through endless feeds of outrage and perfection, with intentional reflection, reading, or quiet meditation. It looks like redefining success on your own terms. Stop measuring your worth by society's exhausting metrics of status, wealth, and relentless busyness. When you anchor your self-worth in your character, your kindness, and your inner alignment, the external world loses its teeth. Failures no longer crush you. They become data points. Criticism no longer devastates you. It becomes background noise. You begin to walk through life with a quiet confidence. You realize that you don't need external validation to feel complete, because you are already choosing yourself. You are honoring your boundaries, nurturing your spirit, and designing a life that feels authentic to who you truly are. And as you step into this empowered version of yourself, your energy shifts, pulling you toward the ultimate climax of your transformation. We have traveled a long way together through this exploration. We looked at the passenger seat of passive living, smashed through the illusion of blame, awakened to our inner power, mastered the art of the pause, cut the heavy anchors of control and approval, and built a daily sanctuary of peace. Now we arrive at the final, pivotal fork in the road. Right now, in this exact moment, you stand at a crossroads. You can finish listening to these words, close this app, and slide right back into your old habits, your old excuses, and your old autopilot routines.
You can let the noise of the world wash over you, returning to the comfortable misery of the familiar. Or you can make the master choice. You can draw a hard line in the sand and say, from this day forward, I am no longer a victim of my circumstances. I am the architect of my experience. No matter what happens around me, I choose my peace. I choose my freedom. I choose my happiness. This choice isn't always easy. There will be days when the old fears creep back in, when the storm outside is too loud, and when you feel like slipping back into old patterns. But remember, awareness is your shield, and the pause is your weapon. Every single time you catch yourself reacting unconsciously and choose to pause, you grow stronger. Every single time you let go of what you cannot control, you step closer to true freedom. Your life is not a draft. This is the final version. Every minute you spend stressing over things you cannot change is a minute stolen from the peace you deserve. Seize the wheel. Step into the light of your own sovereignty. The life you have always dreamed of living is not hiding behind some distant horizon. It is waiting for you to choose it, right here, right now.
But remember, true transformation does not happen in isolation. It happens when we build a community of conscious, awakened minds who refuse to settle for a life of quiet desperation. If this message resonated deep within your soul, if it struck a chord with something you've been struggling with, or if it gave you that sudden jolt of clarity you needed today, then let your voice be heard right now. Like this video to show that you are stepping up to take control of your life. Share this with a friend, a family member, or someone you know who is silently struggling, because you never know whose life might be completely transformed just by hearing these words when they need them most. And subscribe to the channel right now and hit the bell icon button so you never miss a single moment of our deep dives into mindset, personal growth, and self-mastery. Thank you for listening. Thank you for investing in your own growth. And remember, no matter what yesterday looked like, you always have the power to choose your life today. Stay strong, stay conscious, and I will see you in the next exploration.